Hi, I'm Pastor George Houston from Stonehaven Free Methodist Church. I want to talk to you about being one nation under God. The scripture says that you are to have one law, the same law, for those that are native born and for the foreign born. And it's found in Leviticus chapter 24-22. I've chosen the scripture from Leviticus to emphasize that we do not have in America where we are all treated the same, which should be our goal that we are all pursuing. Not the letter, but the spirit. Not just concentrating on what's on the books, but looking at the results. Look at the outcomes and tell me if you think we have one law. I am often saddened by those who are repulsed by the cry for social justice. There is this thought that we need to be doing the Lord's work and leave this liberal agenda alone. They don't see our desire to be treated justly as a biblical issue to be pursued. They see our responses as anger, but they don't see the hurt that they are even helping to inflict by their callousness. So I don't even want to use any of the words or terms that are a turnoff to many. I just want to talk about how God desires that we be treated under the law. Now, I know Leviticus is talking about the law of Moses and we're not under the law, but there's a principle that I want to address. The spirit of the law is that God was concerned about his people Israel, but he was also concerned about those who were foreign born. Isaiah 42:1 says, he will exalt the law and make it honorable. So I want to consider the spirit of this verse and not just the letter. The spirit of the law says we are to have the same law for the foreigner and the native born. Black people in this nation are not foreigners, but we're treated often as foreigners with the prefix African American. So no matter how many years my ancestors have lived and served in this nation, I'm not seen as an American, but an African American. What I want, what all of the black people I know want, is for us to be treated equally, one nation under God. Unfortunately, when there is an issue, we are usually told it's our problem. It's our problem how we are treated by every aspect of the law. God put the charge and the responsibility to treat all people equally on the nation, on all of us. So I want to look at three areas that impact every one of us and how the church has and can respond to this oppression. Now, oppression is the unjust or cruel exercise of authoritative power, especially by the imposition of burdens, especially those that are unlawful or excessive or corrupt exercise of power. So I want us to keep that in mind, and it's done so as to harm someone's rights, their person, or their property, while purporting to act under the color of governmental authority. Many people act like the law is blind and fair, but they seem to forget that the law is made by people. For hundreds of years, it was the law of the land to oppress blacks. It was the law of the land to enslave, threaten, harass, and intimidate them, and to deny them due process. Now, it is no longer official policy to oppress blacks, but many of the laws and policies that were enacted for that purpose are still on the books. In addition, laws are constantly being enacted for the purpose of oppression. Things like gerrymandering districts, limiting the number of polling places in certain areas, deception and intimidation to discourage voting. It is sometimes done openly, but more often than not, it's done discreetly. When a law is made that will have a great negative impact on black people, the response of the church has often been that we should obey the law, and those who don't should be severely dealt with. I agree, we should obey the law, but we should labor to have just laws and to remove unjust laws. Again, I want you to consider the spirit of the law and not just the letter. When it comes to enforcement of laws, black communities are often overpoliced. Being black is treated like a crime. There's a false narrative that blacks commit more crimes and therefore need additional policing. The statistics prove that drug use in the black community is no higher than the white community, but it receives much more attention. Much of the war on drugs was targeted at black and minority communities. The operation of police and schools are vastly different. In white schools, juvenile delinquency is often diverted to things like drug court or counseling. In black schools, youth are arrested and enter into the legal justice system for minor violation. If bias exists in the making and enforcement of laws, it is even more rampant in the court, where Supreme Court Justice Taney declared blacks had no rights, which the white man was bound to respect. Now, how do you unring that bell? The court system is the place where injustice is magnified. I could talk about how blacks are denied opportunities to serve on juries, or about the bail bond system or the parole system, and on and on. But the goal is not to try to present you with a lot of statistics. It's to solicit your support by making you aware that not only is there a disparity, but that it's unjust. As believers, God has called us to stand for justice, to see to it that there's only one law for both the native born and the stranger. Someone, when considering how blacks have been treated when arrested for minor infractions like selling a cigarette or passing a counterfeit $20 bill, noted that mad dogs are treated more humanely.